February 3rd, 1880. Midnight. Shadows gather along a country road in Ontario. Bound by an oath, the mob's mission is secret, but what happens next will become legendary.
There's blood involved, and there's death involved, and there's mystery involved.
Now, for the first time, one of Canada's foremost detectives will re-examine the mass murder of the infamous Donnelly family using modern investigative techniques.
I'm not interested in reading about the folklore of the Donnelly case. I'm interested in moving right to the facts.
He will go through the family's final night, minute by minute, once and for all putting faces on their killers and exposing a widespread conspiracy. This quiet stretch of road leads to a crime scene that is more than a century old. Rarely have headlines been more shocking. Five members of the Donnelly family wiped out in a single night. A mother and father, two sons, a niece. The controversy still lingers, but the clues to the mystery lie buried in the past. The year is 1840. Having left Ireland in search of a better life, a young couple named James and Johanna Donnelly arrive in Canada with their infant son. Although they don't have legal title to the land, they settle near Lucan, Ontario, along a stretch of road called the Roman Line, named after the swelling number of Roman Catholic immigrants.
None of the land was cleared. They came and squatted, which many of them did, not only the Donnellys, but many of the families came and just squatted on land.
Tried to make a life for themselves like everybody else did. And it was tough work, it was a tough life, and if you didn't work hard, and if you weren't lucky, you didn't survive.
In the years that follow the Donnellys' arrival, Johanna gives birth to 6 more boys and a girl.
They were hard-working people, very family-oriented, and very loyal to their friends. Unfortunately, they had some enemies as well, and that's another part of the story.
The family will eventually become legendary, painted by myth, larger than life. In 1880, a mob will strike at them swiftly and secretly.
Somebody was guilty of killing those people. Whoever it was, somebody should have been found guilty.
Michael Boyd is one of Canada's most experienced homicide detectives. He has spent 3 decades with the Toronto Police Department and has worked on cases with the FBI. He plans to reinvestigate the Donnelly mass murder for the first time in more than a century.
I want to apply the same process of investigation that modern-day homicide detectives would use. To go back and review the evidence, the testimony, the information, the details surrounding the case from 1880.
Given the passage of time, the details of the 19th century crime scene are best preserved in original eyewitness accounts. Outside of Hamilton, Ontario, Michael Boyd seeks out preeminent Donnelly historian and former lawyer Ray Fazekas.
Hello, Ray.
Hi, Mike.
Ray, what do we know about the crime scenes?
What we know is what we learned from the neighbors, and then the police officers from London arrived on the scene.
February 4th, 1880, 2 a.m., near Lucan, Ontario. the Donnelly farmhouse lights up the sky. By dawn, a family's home is reduced to ash.
There wasn't much left of the Donnelly farmhouse by the time the police got there. It was pretty much a smoldering ruin.
Now, according to the testimony of Constable Alfred Brown, he says, we found
four bodies. There were 2 bodies lying together near the stove in the kitchen.
That would be right here.
And also another body was lying between the kitchen door and the door going into the front room.
And that would be right there.
The other body lay near the front door. I saw blood on the ground in front of the house, about 10 feet from the house.
The bodies were in such a poor state that when one of the constables tried to pick up one of the skulls, it just crumbled to pieces in his hand.
As news spreads, locals learn of another tragedy down the road, where a 5th member of the Donnelly family has been gunned down. Adding to the mystery, a boy named Johnny O'Connor claims to have witnessed the massacre.
Well, Mike, here we have the original testimony of Johnny O'Connor. Some people said that Johnny O'Connor was too young to have been very much reliable.
I see. So his evidence was being questioned?
Apparently not relied on.
Along with looking at the boy's testimony, Michael Boyd plans to carry out a step-by-step recreation of the night of the murders. Before he goes any further, he needs to put together the rest of his team. In Lucan, Ontario, Boyd meets with Sheila Hodgins of the Area Heritage Society. It will be Sheila's job to recreate the layout of the crime scene using a similar 19th century cabin as her starting point. Next, Boyd visits Gordon Lako, a renowned historical artillery expert. Gordon's job is to track down a replica of the shotgun used that fateful night. It will be tested for shot patterns, power, and distance. With preparations underway, Boyd moves on to the second stage of his investigation, taking a closer look at the Donnelly family in the years leading up to the murders.
For a family to be massacred by a mob of people suggests to me that there was some motivation built up.
By 1855, the Donnellys have been squatting on their land without legal title for close to a decade. Now 9 members strong, the family's way of life is suddenly threatened by a man named Patrick Farrell. Farrell has leased the Donnelly land for the absentee landlord, but James Donnelly believes his years of hard work have earned him a right to the property. A judge divides the land between them, a solution that satisfies no one. Across their new property line, hatred grows. It reaches a climax at a local land clearing party.